Yes,
And the UNC system, of course, had its own independent authority to do some contracting, but there were things that the Office of State Construction, which was housed in the Department of Administration, always had to sign off on.
So Governor Easley knew you were the person who really knew what was happening, both behind the scenes and on the forward.
Well, I didn't know what was happening when he offered me the position, and I turned him down.
Oh, come on.
Flat out, I said, Governor, I am honored that you think highly enough of me to even consider me for a cabinet post, and I respectfully declined, and I will stay and work with the then Attorney General, who was Attorney General-elect, rather, Roy Cooper. So I'll just stay in the Attorney General's office. And, I'm more of a policy wonk. I'm really not aspiring to political appointment. I always shied away from politics. I'm a policy person, not a politician. There's a big difference
the scenes,
in making policy and implementing policy and being a politician. Okay? The difference in governing and running. And so what I said to the governor is that I know you will govern well, but I am running away from this post. I want to be a political appointee. And what he said to me is, he said to you very seriously, deadpan face, because he's got a great sense of humor. He said, I have always known you to be a high achiever. I have always known you to do an outstanding job in every task and every assignment I've ever given you. And I don't understand why you keep flunking this test.
This test of, I've asked you and you're telling me no.
And I said, what is the test? He said, because you keep saying no, and that is the wrong answer. And you keep getting this wrong, and until you get this right, then, we're going to continue to ask. So he said, take a break. We worked hard to help me get elected. And at that time I was going through a divorce. So he said, take the girls, and we went to Disney World. Spent some time over the holidays. But he was in transition, so he had to get that cabinet.
He had to get it filled quick, sure.
Right, and by the way, he's one of the few governors in the country that actually, as I recall, was inaugurated without a cabinet. Didn't have his cabinet picked when he was inaugurated.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a very interesting, person. Because he believed that he needed to get the right people in the right places. Well, ultimately, I relented and I agreed. And I'm delighted that he was right and I was wrong. That it was a good fit. And he said to me, he says, answer 2 questions. If you can answer these correctly, you'll pass the test. And I won't press you any further to take this appointment. 1, if not you, then who?
Good.
And
good
if
question.
not now, Gwynn, then when?
Wow.
And if you could answer me those questions satisfactorily, I'll take you off the hook. I couldn't come up with the right answer. I went into the cabinet, served 5 years, and enjoyed every day, learned so much, and was privileged to serve.
His full first term, and then the first year of his second term.
That is correct.
And then Duke, of course, Duke University tracked you down. Actually, you mentioned again yesterday after the interview that the exciting thing that I think it tied into the Ellis Island Medal of Honor.
It did.
Which you achieved in
2005.
Received in 2005. That Duke really got their claws on you,
pulled
you out of
pulled me back
governor.
home again, because that's my alma mater.
Yes.
And to make that story succinct, if I may.
No, please, sure.
In 2005, I was nominated for this award that I wasn't even familiar with. It's called the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. So I went on the internet to find out what it was about. And it is akin to the Congressional Medal of Honor, which of course goes to people in the military. This is the civilian version. So it is not comparable to, but it is somewhat akin to the Congressional Medal of Honor. And what it is designed to do is it bestows upon people who have contributed to racial harmony and to the ethnic diversity of the wonderful tapestry and mosaic of this country. That the diversity is what makes us great and makes us strong. And it is not the differences that should divide us. And so, hence, we're a stronger nation because you have people who have helped to promote racial harmony and ethnic tolerance. Hence, church burnings. No tolerance for this kind of
what
racial hatred.
You stressed yesterday that Governor Easley has zero tolerance
so
for
it was that kind of work that ultimately I was recognized for. And in fact, interesting that you should ask, the governor was nominated and declined. And recommended that I should be the person to be recognized. So
and
give him credit for that.
He had no idea that Duke would then learn more about you, and of course that by him opening the door for you to receive the award,
opened the door for me to receive the award.
That would help you get out of his administration. I'm sure he
didn't
like that in the end.
He didn't, but I was nominated by Sir Peter Romery, who's a practicing lawyer in Greenville and now at East Carolina University, another one of the 16 constituent institutions, and on stage, under the Statue of Liberty, with fireworks going and so forth. We got this beautiful Medal of Honor. And there was a gentleman there named Dr. Victor Zhao, who had just taken a position as Chief Executive Officer for the Duke University Health System, which has now been rebranded and is called Duke Medicine.
Duke Medicine.
And he's also the Chancellor for Health Affairs for the Duke University, medical school. So in any event, I met Dr. Victor Zhao on Ellis Island.
No.
When we both received the honor.
What a tremendous.
Together, and I met his wife and family at dinner. And he says to me, he says, "So what do you do? I read that you, in your bio, that you work for the governor. Right. How long have you done this?" And I said, "Well, basically 12 years. 8 as Attorney General and whatever." He says, "Well, I want you to join my team." And I thought he was just being nice. I said, well, that's good.
Like family talk.
Pleasure meeting you, Dr. Zhao. Wish you all the best of luck, because he was transitioning down from Harvard at the time. Hadn't been in the area very long.
Right.
And so I said, well, let's get together, and if there's anything that I can do to be of help to you, I'd love to introduce you to Governor Easley. So to make a long story short, he hired me.
Wow. Wow. Gwynn.
Yes. I think
that is.
And I think that actually, again, you never know.
Right.
When you meet people, as my mother and grandmother always said, role models in my life too, they always said it pays to be kind and gracious. So.
When we got about 5 minutes and used those words yesterday, isn't that who we are? In talking about the Ellis Island Award, the tremendous honor. It is who we are,
Greg. Yeah.
And explain that. Isn't that who we are when you say that as it relates to you mentioned the Native American, the immigrants coming in, of course.
Talking about the immigration issue in the context of today's politics, basically, and the presidential election, as well as at the state level, because we're going to be electing a governor to succeed Governor Easley this year, as a matter of fact. So immigration is a huge issue. We have an ever-increasing immigrant population that is growing in North Carolina exponentially in the Hispanic population. And what I was reflecting upon with Ellis Island was that when I stood under the Statue of Liberty and got that really incredible honor bestowed upon me, what it caused me to reflect upon is that this nation is pretty much made up of three groups of people. One are the Native Americans who were here, because they are Aboriginal. I mean, they own the land, obviously, before America was so-called discovered. Then secondly, the slave population that was brought over from Africa, these my ancestors who helped to build this country, and then they were brought over by immigrants who came looking for a better life in this country. So isn't that who we really are? Isn't that what we're really all about? And we need to get this right. We've done a good job of it so far, and I am confident that we will do a better job now as we face this immigration issue.
Let's pray you're right. Let's pray you're right.
I just want the candidates to get focused on the issues and stop digressing. The acrimony distracts and I think takes away from the discourse.
We saw that in the Palace Theater on January 21st. It's a tough thing to see it live, I'm sure, for the 5 million plus folks watching it on CNN. It was very exciting. It was very exciting. We just got a couple minutes. We think about role models. Obviously, you mentioned some of your childhood role models. You mentioned Dad.
I mentioned your dad as a professional role model, and Togo West.
And Togo West, of course, who you spoke about yesterday. What is it about my father, about Robinson Everett, that would engender you to say that?
Well, interestingly enough, and I'll just say after the Shaw versus Reno litigation and the Supreme Court decision striking down the 12th District, et cetera, and on, there was a certain amount of discontent with your dad among those African-American leaders who felt that it was not a fair position for him to take. What I admire most about your dad, among many things, is his commitment to doing the right thing as he sees it, regardless of whether it is unpopular or whether others will disagree with him. He believes what he believes, and he does it for the greater good, not for self-aggrandizement or self-promotion. Now, those are admirable traits. So that's part of the reason he's my role model. The other thing is that he's an only child like I am. He grew up in a different generation, but he is such a visionary. And I would say now that I can barely keep up with him. When I see him, I'm still struggling to keep up with the pace.
Again, the same thing he says about you. And as you know, next month, March 18th, will be his 80th birthday. We'll be celebrating 80 years. And as you know, he joined the Duke Law faculty, where you spent many years, and of course now have a continued deep connection. In 1950, was there 5 years, and then left and came. Was there for 1 year, left for 5 years, came back in '56, and has been there continuous since.
Well, I met him. He was commuting back and forth
From D.C., yeah.
From D.C. when he was on the military court. And my birthday is March 10th, and I'll be 55. So we had actually talked about celebrating together.
Good idea. We can wrap that in.
That's another thing that we have in common. We both have the same astrological sign for whatever that may be.
Absolutely. Yeah. When do you miss holding public office?
I miss the people I've met. I had a chance to visit most counties in the great state of North Carolina. Not all 100, but very close to all 100 of them. And what I miss is having the opportunity to take government to the people. I had a radio show.
Did you really?
Yeah, I had a radio show, and I loved it. It was called
Wow.
The Secretary Speaks.
Wow.
And so I got a chance to share with the listening audience tidbits and facts about government that they wouldn't have otherwise known.
On the UNC radio system.
It was actually on state government radio. It's called stategovernmentradio.com, and it's some of the shows are still streamed on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I enjoyed connecting with the people of the state. I did not enjoy the loss of my privacy. And what I like about being back at Duke and being a part of the Duke medicine community is that I get to promote health care, but at the same time in the community, but I get to continue to connect with members and constituent groups in the community, but I get to have my own privacy back.
And Gwynn, what do you think lies ahead?
I hope that I will continue to enjoy being able to connect with the various people and the various component parts of a rapidly growing triangle. Because, as you know, it's one of the fastest growing places in the country. Oh, yeah. Over 100 people a day move into Wake County alone.
That's amazing.
And so I hope that I will continue to be able to serve the community at the Duke University Health System, now Duke Medicine, in ways that will help people to make sure that they take better care of themselves and live healthy lives and make healthy choices.
Those are great words. Gwynn, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Greg.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Dr. Gwynn Swinson coming up next. Think about that terrible pain for a set of parents in the mid-60s having to decide between the love of their own child and helping to raise them, training up a child, and the desire to remain progressive and to help integrate the schools there in Beaufort County. Think about that pain, having to make a decision. It turned out obviously very well as their daughter headed to Maryland and then to Ohio and then back and continued a tremendous role herself, a role model that we recognize not only in her award there at Ellis Island in 2005, but her series of awards year after year in making a difference for the citizens of North Carolina, the citizens of America. But take the time to think about it now, making a difference for the health and the health care there in North Carolina with Duke Medicine and her tremendous role today. Learn more about Gwynn and Duke Health. Go online and check out Duke Medicine.